I recently read the book Sprint, How to Solve Big Problems and Test New Ideas in Just 5 Days. The authors of this book, Jake, John, and Braden, work for Google Ventures. Google Ventures takes $300 million of Google's money and invests that money in startups. But they don't simply give the companies money and walk away. They're continually helping companies develop new products and solve big problems. But because there are so many companies they invest in and so many products they can develop, they needed to develop a rapid method for solving problems. What they came up with and refined is the Sprint method. And it's a method that you can use to solve problems that have high stakes, not enough time, or you're just plain stuck on. Or you could use this method to test out that new business idea that you have. I've used this method a few times, and I've condensed down the method to only include things that I consider absolutely essential. Here's my rapid-fire version. First, gather some supplies. Get a large whiteboard, markers, 3x5 post-it notes, and some dot stickers. Then gather a team of less than 7 people and elect a decider. The decider is typically the person who is ultimately responsible for the outcome. It's commonly the product manager, or it could be a CEO of a startup. Next, you need to schedule off 5 days in your calendar from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And lastly, you need to set up 5 interviews with end users or target customers. These interviews will be conducted on Friday, the last day of the sprint. All right, let's get into the sprint. First, you're going to create a map. Start with the end in mind. Think of the happy ending. Be optimistic with your long-term goal. It could be as simple as people buying your product or people enrolling in your program. Next, list the actors in the story. These are characters that you're trying to get to your end result. Oftentimes, it's customers. It could also include people that will be helping to facilitate the process, like a sales team. Then you need to fill in the gap by identifying what steps need to occur to get the actors to the end result. Use arrows and words. Once you have your map laid out on the wall, you're going to be bringing in experts and asking them, does this map look right? What are we missing? After the experts have filled in some gaps, you're going to be going into pessimistic mode. This involves doing a pre-mortem. It's putting yourself a year in advance when everything turned out to be a disaster. And you ask yourself, what went wrong? You write down a long list of potential issues, and then you convert these issues into how might we questions. Stating a how might we question reframes challenges and problems as opportunities. How might we get the customer to click this button? How might we get more people to see our logo? The authors say that reading the how might we list feels a lot better than reading the problem list. These questions kickstart your creative, problem-solving mind. You write down these how might we questions on 3x5 post-its, and you put them on a wall. After you feel you've addressed most of the issues, you start sorting your how might we post-it notes into themes and groups. Then the team goes into silent voting mode. It's silent because you prevent groupthink. You prevent social persuasion. You allow people to freely make their own decisions. And the silent voting involves team members getting 2 dots and placing them on 2 how might we cards. The decider gets 4 dots, placing them on 4 how might we cards. You then grab all the how might we cards that have dots and try to place them back on the map. Soon you will recognize one event on the map you need to focus on and one actor that you need to focus on. These are now your targets for the sprint. Alright, that was Monday. Now Tuesday. Tuesday morning, you get team members to stand up and give 3-minute pitches on potential solutions. This is from their past or from a range of companies, inside or outside of your industry. The team elects a facilitator to sketch a quick drawing on the whiteboard of each idea. This idea pitching session will last for about 2 hours. Then after lunch, the team will go into a silent sketching mode. Each team member will grab 4 pieces of paper. On the first paper, They will walk up to the board with the list of idea sketches, and they will gather which ideas seem most promising to them. Then, on the second piece of paper, they will take those original ideas and try to combine them and remix them in a way that's unique. Then on the third piece of paper, they will fold it 3 times to get 8 different sections. On each section, they will try to make their ideas from sheet 2 more concrete with very rough sketches made in under 1 minute or less. That's 1 minute for each of the 8 rough sketches you'll be making. And then lastly, you will look through your rough sketches and you will create a 3-part storyboard, 3 events that will have to happen for your solution to come to life. When you're sketching the storyboard, you don't need to worry about the quality of your drawing. The authors say that the best sketches are just rough rectangles with catchy words. This entire sketching process may take you up to 2 hours, and it'll bring you to the end of the day. Now Wednesday morning, you gather everyone's solution sketches, and you tape them to a wall in one long row. Then you ask people to walk around with 20 dot stickers. They're to create a heat map of what they think is interesting, placing their dots on interesting solutions. Then the team gathers around and identifies the highest clusters of dots. They set a timer for 3 minutes for each cluster. They spend 3 minutes discussing the pros and cons of each potential solution that has been identified by clusters of dots. They don't allow the person who came up with the solution to reveal themselves before the 3 minutes is up. Afterwards, they can explain why they did what they did. This structured approach allows the team to waste very little time. There's no lengthy discussion, there's no back and forth, and all ideas are critiqued one at a time. When you reveal the creator at the end of the critique, you get more honest responses to the ideas. After the team has discussed all the big clusters of dots, it's up to the decider, and the decider alone, to pick 3 solutions. There's no more voting, the decider simply picks. Then before the end of the day, the team gets together and tries to combine those 3 solutions into a longer storyboard, a script for what they're going to try to be prototyping the following day. On the following morning, the prototyping begins. You only have 1 day to prototype, so it's important that you do that script the day before. Day 4, Thursday, is all about execution. It's all about creating the prototype. Now, what is a prototype? The authors explain that it's basically a shell. It looks like a finished product, but it's just not functional. Think of a flashy sports car without an engine. The purpose of a prototype is to gauge people's initial reactions. Initial reactions can give you most of the information that you need to determine if your solution is viable. The authors say that 90% of the time, they can do a prototype simply by using Keynote or PowerPoint. The other 10% of the time, you could create a landing page or a video on your website. If it's a physical product, you could take an existing product and modify it. At the end of the day, you should have a quick prototype built and be ready for the interviews the next day. The next day, you'll have your 5 interviews. Now, why 5? Well, according to Jacob Nielsen, a user research expert who has seen thousands of customer reviews, 85% of the problems were observed after just 5 people were interviewed. Interviewing more than 5 people provides diminishing returns. So with your 5 people lined up, you interview them one at a time. You introduce the prototype, and you ask them to speak about the prototype out loud. You want to know what they're thinking and what they're feeling. Ask them open-ended questions to probe deeper. Ask them questions like, why do you think that? Or what else can you tell me about that? The key is to focus on surprising details. While the interview is happening by a single person, the rest of the team is in another room, watching the interview unfold on a monitor. They're catching those surprising things and noticing patterns, and determining what they can do to improve upon their solution. After the interview, you thank them and give them something for their troubles. The team at Google usually gives $100 gift certificates. After all the interviews are done, you get your team together and you review your long-term goal. The authors say that no problem is too large for a sprint. Yes, this statement sounds absurd, but there are two big reasons why it's true. First, the sprint forces your team to focus on the most pressing questions. Second, the sprint allows you to learn from just the surface of a finished product, and this saves you from a ton of wasted effort. Well, there you have it. That's a condensed version of the sprint process. If you want a deeper understanding of it, I highly recommend getting the book. If you would like a one-page PDF of the best problem-solving strategies and tactics from the sprint method, just click the link below and I'd be happy to email it to you. If you already subscribe to the free Productivity Game newsletter, this PDF is already in your inbox. Thanks for watching.